What is a priority? How can you determine true priorities, good priorities, the ones that lead you to the life that you know that you should have, as opposed to what you currently have, mess, clutter, chaos? And to me, it's actually quite simple. I don't know if anyone else is doing it like this, so whatever. Life sometimes, or culture, or our families, they kind of influence what we believe is a priority. For instance, the kids being in a bazillion activities that you literally don't have the time or energy and sometimes even money to really support. But, based on all those other influences outside of you, you believe this is what you're supposed to be doing, even though it's to your own detriment in the both short term and long term. And of course, this all relates to the mess, clutter, and chaos going on at home. We'll tie this up in a way that hopefully just really make some light bulbs go off for you, and you can make some big changes so that we can scrap that old life and finally walk into something that makes sense. So whether it's a home that makes you feel good, your season of being a mother or a father, husband, wife, whatever you may be, I definitely believe in doing that and walking in excellence while doing it. Based on the current priorities that you have in your life, you can kind of tell they're out of whack because you see and you're experiencing mess, clutter, and chaos going on around you, especially at home. And obviously it's supposed to be, home is the place where you can get rest. It's supposed to be your temple, your sanctuary, all those, frou-frou things and whatnot. But in this case, it's probably becoming a source of stress or even embarrassment, shame, guilt, turmoil, just all kinds of things that it literally, like, what? That's not home. That sounds like prison. Let me check my notes here to make sure I don't miss anything. Give me 1 second. All right, what I want to go over with are some signs that help you know that your priorities really are an issue in this whole saga of, like I said, mess, clutter, and chaos. Number one, home literally does not feel like home. Like I just said a minute ago, it's a place where you're drained, okay? It's just a place where you go to do more work, so to speak. Another sign, you feel as if you're going through the motions of being a mom or a dad, but not really building a genuine connection with your children. When's the last time you guys actually had a real conversation or some eye contact? Even though everyone always says it's the kids not wanting to engage. Since we've got our phones, I don't think we're as engaged with our kids or with people around us as we should. So I'm just gonna say it's not always the kid's fault.
How was your day at school? How was your day at school? How was your day at school?
Just like you have to spice up a romantic relationship, you gotta spice up those conversations with your kids. Google some stuff online to see, okay, how can I have a more jazzy conversation with my kids? Just something different. It's not even just for the kids, it's for you to help you just be better at having conversations. Who doesn't want to be a better conversationist? Seriously. I don't want to have a conversation with you. It's the same conversation we had yesterday, Mom. All right, another sign that your priorities are out of whack. You're wondering, why is it so hard to get your spouse on board with the things that need to get done at home, right? Especially you've told them how you feel, they know it's important to you that we work together to do this or that, and they're just like tone deaf to everything going off. The fact that that's the state of the relationship kind of lets you know, like, maybe you guys' priorities are off. Everyone's maybe getting caught up in the humdrum of life and not necessarily in maintaining the relationship in a sense where everyone's feeling understood or heard or even kindness. Another example, you literally have stuff in your house. You're opening up your, let's say, kitchen cupboard, and it's literally stuffed to the max with a hodgepodge collection of Tupperware and random cups and mugs and things from many years of just living life, and you really don't like how it looks. You really only use 1 or 2 of the mugs out of there, but for some reason there is an incredible resistance when it comes to actually just removing the cups from the cupboard, putting them in a box, and either putting them in the trash, dropping them off at Goodwill, all these things. The fact that something that is very easy, okay, you literally don't want to look at those cups in the cupboard. I mean, you don't. Yet, you can't just pull them out and put them in the box. that is a sign that there are some priorities off inside of you. You're kind of allowing a cup or a thing, shoes or a bike, all these things that you have around your home that you literally don't want. And so they irritate you, and yet you hold on to them. And it's like you weren't put here to be ruled by an old bike that you're literally never going to use just because you spent money on it. Or again, the kitchen cabinets looking all crazy just because you're having whatever issues getting rid of it. That's not why you were put here. And so the fact that you're struggling with an issue like this lets you know, again, priorities they're off. So this is how you actually figure out what your priorities should be. Here are the 5 steps. Number 1 will help you establish that guiding light, so to speak, and it is, who are you created to be? And I know that's a super weird question that you are probably not expecting whatsoever. But if I ask you, who are you? Can you answer that? If you can, oh my God, you're literally amazing. But if you can't, I need for you to work on that right there, okay? Who were you created to be? In my opinion, this is one of the most critical components of living a life that makes sense, as in one without regrets, one where you're proud of yourself, one where you look around and you're like, okay, this feels like the life Victoria Alexander should be leading or living, right? I want that same thing for you, but it starts with first identifying who you are, or even just what do you think you were created for? Right? Just what was the point? And you can just look at some things you're naturally good at, things you're naturally drawn to, and even things you're afraid of doing, because sometimes those things that you're afraid of doing are indicators of what you should be doing. You just need to overcome them, because the process of overcoming those things will, mold you in such a way to where you'll be an absolute powerhouse once you step into that role. Another way I like to look at this is, what does walking in excellence look like for you? And I'll repeat that. What does walking in excellence, greatness, look like for you? This has nothing to do with perfection, obviously, right? This is probably the opposite of perfection, to be honest. What does walking in excellence look like for you? We could say in your role as a mother, what does that look like for you, right? Would that be those meaningful conversations like we talked about? What time, when you're being your excellent self, what time do you go to bed? How do you respond to people that are pulling at you for, your time or your energy or money? And, how do you respond to these instances in your life when you're walking in excellence, or when you're walking from a place of rest? If you're walking in excellence, what does your kitchen pantry look like? Okay. What do your relationships look like? I'm sure if some of you are walking in excellence, you probably wouldn't even have half of the relationships that you currently have. These people probably wouldn't even be worth a conversation to you if you are walking in excellence. Okay. And I'm not saying that to diss anyone. I'm just saying that relationships are very consequential to your entire life. So I feel like we always have to mention that in almost every single one of these videos, even though, again, we're talking about mess, clutter, and chaos, because how you feel about yourself, how the people around you are making you feel, obviously are leading to issues, even though they may not be direct. When you're not feeling good about yourself, when your self-esteem is feeling lowered, or when you're feeling a little insecure in a relationship, or not necessarily having that security, or feeling like you're in a safe space, that affects how you show up in the world. So when you don't know why you can't just get rid of the old food in the pantry, or the burnt pots and pans that you literally, no one should ever, they should go to the trash can, they should not be donated. But when you don't know why you're struggling to get rid of things from the past, these are symptoms of deeper issues. So that was number 1. Who are you created to be? Or what does walking in excellence look like for you? You should have a vision somewhat of what that life should look like. And then from there, we'll reverse engineer it. Number 2, where can you start walking in excellence right now? For me, when I did this exercise, the first thing I was able to do was start going to bed on time. I was definitely a night owl, but obviously with kids, work, and all these things, I was just too exhausted to even, I was showing up, but nobody wants the pilot of the plane showing up tired, right? So yeah, in my mind, just because I'm showing up, I think I should, get a sticker, but I know I'm not showing up the way that I need to. And I was like, yeah, we can do better. So for me, that first place was rest, going to bed earlier. And then another big piece for me was my finances, something that I was easily able to do, or that would be easy to do. I haven't always been the best at like budgeting, but it's a lot easier for me to just say, hey, I'm not making any more, impulse purchases and things like that. So those were two very easy things I was able to do in order to kick off this journey of walking into my excellence and being able to commit to those things. I will also let you know that even though, again, yes, we're talking about mess, clutter, and chaos, it's going to be a journey, guys, to unraveling all this, because you're having to work through years of bad habits, years of hurt, years of whatever is going on in your world in order to make this happen. And essentially, we're going to have to do a kind of like the caterpillar is not a baby butterfly. You know what I mean? The caterpillar dies, and then the butterfly reemerges. So, it's kind of death to the old and reemerge as the new here. It's going to be a thing where you wake up and everything's just new because you've taken these baby steps of walking out of each of these lanes one by one. And it'll just build your self-esteem, build your confidence so that you can succeed in all these areas of life that you've been struggling with. That was number 2. You have to identify some very simple ways that you can start walking in your excellence right now. The next one is start questioning everything. Be like your mother, right? On her most just annoying day, or that annoying friend that's like, you really think you should be doing that? You really think you should be talking to him? You really think you should be wearing your hair like that? That type deal, right? You need to question everything that you're doing. When you go wash the dishes and you reach down into the pantry and that doesn't even make sense. Like, how are you washing the dishes and reaching into the pantry? Let me try this again. So let's say you're in the kitchen, you're about to bake a cake. That's a good one. Now you go to reach a pan, but you notice that the first pan you grabbed is super burnt and it's got all those weird cancer lines on it. All the stuff is peeling off. That's a pan. If you're walking in excellence, you can just go ahead and throw that one away, right? So as you're encountering things throughout your normal day or your normal walk, you want to just go ahead and just commit to, hey, this shouldn't be here. Let me just go ahead. It doesn't matter if you spent $50 on it or $12 on it. Get rid of it. You don't need it. Whatever excuse, rhyme, or reason you come up with, your motto has to be that you're going to walk in excellence. And like I said, you're going to run all your decisions through, is this excellent or not? Let's just move on. What is going on here? All right, so that was number 3. Question everything that you do throughout the day. Now we're on to number 4. Give yourself permission to actually walk this out. There are so many things in our lives that we know we need to change, but for some reason, it's almost like you feel like you signed this contract with someone at some point in your life that's like, hey, you've been doing this thing like this for the past 5 years and you're gonna have to stick this out for the next 60. This is, whatever state you're in right now, this is how you're gonna go out. This is how you're dying. Why is it so hard to make these changes? I don't want to be stuck like this. I never signed a contract such as this. So why is it so hard for me to make these changes? I will say sometimes it may feel disruptive when you have to start making changes like this. If you have people around you at home, a partner, kids and whatnot, things may feel a bit messy, and even your own personal paradigms and thoughts and beliefs will be challenged throughout this process too. A lot of really weird things can come out of you when you find yourself having to make some just really big changes in order to do something as simple as make your home feel like a home. The craziest thing I know, but it really is just therapy. And again, I try to remind you, it's a journey. Get a journal, just start writing down all these struggles and everything you're going with. Yes, some will seem very weird, very crazy, very disturbing, but nonetheless, it's part of the journey. And like I said, you're turning into a butterfly, so just embrace it. Fly, little butterfly. And lastly, how to actually order your priorities. Number 5 is going to be get yourself some cheerleaders. It's really hard to make these decisions because there will be not just the decisions, I'm sorry. It's hard to make these decisions and take action. Not only are you fighting your own internal habits and things that you're just used to, your old programming, but you're also going to be fighting people around you who are like, ooh, you don't change, we don't like this. That gets hard too. You don't always want to let people down, but you do have to get to a point where you don't care, all right? Yeah, you can't care. So when I say get cheerleaders, you may have a friend that you can share what you're trying to do with, and they may, if they get it, and they're on board, they can be like your accountability partner. They're going to definitely cheer you on along the way. You can let them know your progress. You can let them know, hey, such and such said something to me today. I'm feeling bummed out. And they'll be that friend that, talks that trash. For me, that is definitely my mother. If you don't have someone that you can put into that role, be your own cheerleader. You have to find places where you can go, even online, right? Your cheerleader might just be right here on YouTube somewhere. You'll have to listen to something or someone that's going to beat you down a little bit. And, in a sense, it's going to help you get back up so you can stay in the fight of making the changes that you need to change so that you can turn your home and your life around. When you prioritize the right things, everything else in your life will fall in place. That was how to get your priorities in order. So I will see you guys in the next video. I actually have to run to go pick up my daughter. I get cursed out if I'm late, so I gotta go, but I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.